Okay, Hafide, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Commissioners regularly scheduled meeting. It is now 12:01 p.m. on this August 26th, 2025 here at GHURA's main office in the beautiful village of Sinanya. Let us begin with roll call. Vice Chair Sanchez.
Present.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Delia.
Here.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Rice.
Present.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Torres.
Here.
Thank you very much. And I know Commissioner Corpus was not able to join us. We do have a quorum. Let us proceed with item number 2. Board meeting public announcements that is located in your packets. The first printing, which is Tuesday, August 19th. And then second printing, which is Sunday, August 24th. All seems to be in order. Let us proceed with item number 3. Approval of previous board minutes of August 12th, 2025. Located in your packet.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a couple of items on the board minutes.
Okay.
First one is on page 5 under the action column. We just need to correct where it says additional air conditioner units. Just put a comma after where it says 12,000. And then BTU just needs a capital B on it. And then if we go to page 8, the second to the last bullet on the top, where it says 4 out, we need to add of 6 evaluations. And then my last one is on page 9, up on the third bullet, where it says, and not until the decision is made, case because nothing has been resolved. We just need to take out and not. And then at the very bottom, we need to add another bullet where we indicate Mr. Floric respectfully disagreed with Mr. Stiles on this point. And that's all I have.
And that's the last, I'm sorry, that last comment is a 4th bullet from the top or the
Yeah,
bottom?
it should be the last bullet on that page, on page 9. Add, yes, on the bottom, add Mr. Floric respectfully disagreed with Mr. Stiles on this point. Thank you. Sorry, on page 5, I forgot that we also need to go up to where the second paragraph under the discussion says Director Napoli indicated, go to that at a previous board meeting, the board moved to approved, take out the D, it should just say approved without the D. Sorry, and that really is it for me.
Legal, Stephen?
Yes,
Styles is S-T-I-L-E-S, it's not, there's no Y, right?
correct. It's STILES.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one,
Sure.
on page 2,
Page 2.
down the last part, the Commissioner Doris asked why the board did not direct the contractor to schedule work. I don't think it was the board. I think I was more like AE or some of the AE division, why the AE division did direct her to
Okay.
do work, you know, on that,
So A&E.
yeah,
Not board.
yeah.
Madam Director?
Yes, can you repeat what that was? What page again, please?
Page 2,
Thanks.
on the last paragraph, where it says Commissioner Torres, the reading is Commissioner Torres asked why the board did not direct. Commissioner Torres is saying that the direction was not for the board, it was more for A&E. So Commissioner Torres asked why A&E did not.
I think that's correct. You're right. It wasn't the board. Thank you.
Commissioners, if there's nothing else, we'll get a motion to approve the minutes of August 12th, subject to the corrections.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting of August 12, 2025, subject to the corrections.
Thank you very much. We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Torres to approve the minutes. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. I have a second by Commissioner Rice. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, may I call for the vote? All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously to approve the minutes of August 12th, 2025, subject to corrections. Moving on to item number 4, new business. Intent to award IFB GHURA 25-10. Renovations of 9 public housing units at AMPS 1, 2, and 4. Madam Executive Director, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. Intent of award, IFB GHURA 25-10, renovations of 9 public housing units at AMPS 1, 2, and 4. Bid opening for the subject project was held on July 30th, 2025 at 2:00 p.m. A total of 13 bidders registered for the bid and were given bid specifications, of which 3 submitted a bid. Listed below are the results of the bid submissions, which were opened and read out aloud publicly. Vendor number 1 was OH Construction with a bid bond of 15% of the total bid amount. 300 consecutive calendar days is what's indicated for this project. OH Construction was awarded base bid item numbers 1, 2, and 3 for a total of $383,500. Vendor number 2 was Genesis Tech Corporation with a bid bond of 15% of the total bid amount. Base bid item numbers 1, 2, and 3, their bid was a total of $432,200. Vendor number 3 was Mega United Corporation with a bid bond of 15% of the total bid amount. And their bid for base bid items numbers 1, 2, and 3 was a total of $620,640. And I'm sorry if we can just add a dollar sign in front of that amount. The government estimate was $378,360. The following pages 2 through 6 give a description of the breakdown for each of the item descriptions. And if we go to page 6, we do have the summary. The Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority's GHURA mission is to provide affordable, decent, safe, and sanitary housing through the maintenance of our existing units to ensure that the facilities owned and managed by GHURA are safe and appealing to the residents. Property site managers have identified projects within their AMPs that require rehabilitation and/or upgrades not only to their public housing units, but the sites within their developments that are beyond the scope of maintenance repairs. Such projects include, but are not limited to, complete renovation of kitchens and bathrooms, electrical upgrade, plumbing, replacement of interior and exterior doors, and other substantial physical changes that requires upgrades to the units and the sites. In review of the bid result, OH Construction provided the lowest responsive and responsible bid. The committee members determined to proceed with the award of the project to OH Construction in the amount of $383,500 for bid item numbers 1, 2, and 3. The following project timelines are: for bid item number 1, it's 90 consecutive calendar days at the cost of $131,000. Bid item number 2 is 120 consecutive calendar days at the cost of $154,000. And bid item number 3 is 90 consecutive calendar days at the cost of $98,500 with no option periods, and not to exceed the total amount of $383,500. And if you have any questions, we do have our procurement administrator present.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Commissioner first. This is pretty standard. Yeah. Okay, so if there's no questions on this, this is pretty formal and standard. So Commissioner may get a motion on the floor.
I think I'll make a motion to the intent of award of IFB GHURA -25-10 renovation of 9 public housing units at AMPs 1, 2, and 4. Right. To OH Construction. In the amount of $383,500 for bid items number 1, 2, and 3. One of the following project timelines. Bid item 1 is 90 consecutive calendar days at the cost of $131,000 $131,000. Bid item number 2 is 120 consecutive calendar days at the cost of $154,000. And bid item number 3 is 90 consecutive calendar days at the cost of $98,500 with no option periods and not to exceed the amount of $383,500,000.
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner Torres, for the motion. Do I have a second? Vice Chair, seconds the motion. Any further discussion? No, hearing and seeing none, may I call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand so I can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously. For item number 1, intent to award IFB GHURA -25-10. Moving on to item number 2, intent of award IFB GHURA -25-001 CDBG-DR for fleet vehicles. Madam Executive Director, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. Intent of award IFB GHURA -25-001 Fleet Vehicles Bid for CDBG-DR. Bid opening for the subject project was held on August 5th, 2025 at 10:00 a.m. A total of 3 bidders registered for the bid and given bid specifications, of which 3 submitted a bid. Listed below are the results of the bid submissions, which were opened and read out aloud publicly. Vendor number 1 was Cars Plus LLC with a bid bond of 15% of the total bid amount. It's 160 consecutive calendar days. They were awarded bid item numbers 1.1 and 1.3 for a total of $53,704. Vendor number 2 was J Enterprises, Inc., with a bid bond of 15% of the total bid amount. They were awarded bid item numbers 1.2 and 1.3 for a total of $58,333. Vendor number 3 was, and I'm sorry that there needs to be a correction, that should say Monster. So add an N in front of that word. Monster Auto Companies, Auto Corporation, DBA Guam Auto Spot, sorry, with a bid bond of 15% of the total bid amount. They were not awarded for any of the bid item numbers 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. Their total bid amount was $187,995. The government estimate for the bid was $385,000. A breakdown of the item descriptions follows for each of the vendors from page 8 through 9. And the summary is on page 9. The Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority mission is to provide affordable, decent, safe, and sanitary housing through the maintenance of our existing units to ensure that the facilities owned and managed by GHURA are safe and appealing to the residents. The additional personnel require vehicles to conduct businesses necessary in fulfillment of their job functions. These functions include general administrative functions, such as document delivery and pickup of personnel, supplies, and documents between physical locations, both internal and external to the agency, community surveys, assessments, and outreach, and project site visits. In review of the bid result, Cars Plus LLC and J Enterprises, Inc. provided the lowest responsive and responsible bid. The committee members determined to proceed with the award of the vehicles to Cars Plus LLC in the total amount of $53,704 for bid item numbers 1.1 and 1.3, and J Enterprises, Inc. in the total amount of $58,333 for bid item numbers 1.2 and 1.3. And if you have any questions, we do have procurement and our deputy director present to answer your questions.
So this, this bid was, did this bid include a sports utility vehicle?
It did,
And we didn't go for anyone?
none of them met the specs
Okay,
on
got it,
what they put for,
got it, got
so we couldn't award any.
it. Okay.
We have a model for 1.1 and 1.3 for price plus. Not one sedan and then just curious.
And we have a model for the sedan. I believe this is an in-line truck.
The launch truck.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, is it a transit or 350 for the
Yes.
van?
For the
Yeah,
One
gas.
of those.
Mhm.
Launches are fun.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Mr. Chairman, can I make a
Yes.
change on this intent to forward? Do you mind?
Sure.
It's not a change, but on the consecutive calendar days on page 7, it's actually 120 days, not 160.
Okay.
Right, so the
Seven.
delivery date is actually 120.
Mr. Tony, where is it?
On the intent of award, on the first page of the intent of award.
Okay,
On Conduit Cars Plus under the 160 consecutive calendar
Okay.
days should read 120.
should be 120. Got it. Thank you. And add the dollar symbol also to auto spot number 3, total 187,995. Is there?
Sorry, talking to you.
Oh, no, it's,
Oh,
excuse me,
okay.
it's the board. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Tony. Excuse me, so the sports utility and the passenger they just didn't meet specs, that's all it is.
No, oh, no, the passenger wagon did,
Oh, it did?
yeah, that's one of the bid
Oh,
items
okay,
being
excuse me,
awarded.
Just the sports.
Say, correct, the SUV does not meet the spec.
You want me to ask you what kind of, Ross, what kind of specs?
It was the fuel economy, so, you know, we'll have to conduct the market research again and see. But nobody posed any questions or objections to the specs when we went out. But what they submitted did not meet what we put out for bid, so,
That's right.
Yeah.
correct.
Meet our bid criteria.
So we'll have to reevaluate the bid criteria and go back.
I have a question. So for Triple J Enterprises, we're awarding them numbers 1.2 and 1.3. The total that I'm getting is 69,103, not 58,333, 58,333. Am I not doing that math correctly?
Yeah, so how this is broken down actually, Commissioner Rice, Commissioner, is the 1.3, as you see there, that 1.3 is a total of 12,965. This is in total of the 5-year powertrain. But in actuality, the powertrain that is awarded to the 1.2 passenger wagon is 2,195.
Could you divide that back by
That is
the
correct.
amount of
By
vehicles,
the
because it's per vehicle?
That's correct. Yes.
So that's a little misleading, right?
Correct.
That is correct, yes. But what I did here was my apologies, I just translated, and I made it, transparent to how actually they have, submitted the bid. This is how the bid was submitted. Yeah, but I should have broken it down.
So how much is it per vehicle? I'm sorry, the audio is very bad in the conference room. I can barely hear.
We didn't ask for all the other, breakdown is because we only concentrated on what was supposed to be awarded, which is for the passenger wagon. So we only asked to post the question on, with the 12,195, we wanted to see of that, what is the 5-year powertrain that's only, for the passenger wagon? But I believe that it is different because of the size of the vehicle.
Yeah.
It is more, right? So all the other vehicles was in this bid is less than what is, for the passenger wagon.
So then what it would be is if you take the 58,333 and you subtract that by the 56,138. So the powertrain is 2,195.
Correct, that is for the passenger wagon.
If I may, I asked Tony the same question because it was misleading. And he indicated that he was showing the bids the way they were submitted by the different companies. That's why he didn't want to make the adjustment on the bids itself. And we just have to explain what the total cost, why the total cost comes out that way.
Noted, right? So for the record, the total amount of Triple J Enterprise that the proposal to award is 58,333. The breakdown of that would be the passenger wagon at 56,138, and the 5-year powertrain and vehicle service plan for the passenger wagon with the option to purchase is 2,195.
Correct.
Okay. Which then is more than the passenger wagon plus the 5-year powertrain that was submitted by Monster Auto Corp.
Less.
I'm sorry, less,
Yes,
yes.
yes,
Monster Auto Corp was more,
yes,
correct, okay, thank you,
thank you.
thank you for that. Okay. Okay. If there's no other questions, commissioners may I get a motion?
Chairman, do we have to, Commissioner brought up a really good point. Do we have to reconfigure how we frame the motion in light of the math?
I think the amount was already
Is it-
explained, yeah, was in the minutes already.
Okay.
That, it was the price of that vehicle plus the powertrain.
Sure.
So I think that's already covered. So, if the board members want to go ahead and pass it, the only thing I would read is on page 9, which just indicates who the awardees are
Okay.
and the
The
amounts
total.
to each awardee, yeah. And then just to include, which isn't here, that it's not to exceed 120 consecutive calendar days. And that's the way I would approach it, unless
Sure,
the
framing is
DD or procurement has any additional comments.
Right, just wanted to make sure, because
Yes.
you and Mr. Tony bring up a good point. I just wanted to make sure that it's framed correctly for the.
Yes, most definitely.
And the clarification is reflected in the procurement record
Yes,
with the clarifying questions to the bidders.
Got it.
So, when we clarified the amount, that's all documented.
Okay,
thank you.
thank you, Vice Chair.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Making a motion on the floor.
Chairman, I'll make a motion. The intent of award IFB -25-001 CDVG-DR fleet vehicles. And review of the bid results, Cars Plus LLC and Triple J Enterprise Incorporated provided the lowest responsible bid. The committee members determined to proceed with the award of the vehicles to Cars Plus LLC in the total amount of $53,704 for bid item number 1.1 and 1.3, and Triple J Enterprise Incorporated in the total amount of $58,333 for bid items number 1.2 and 1.3, both not to exceed 120 consecutive days.
So noted, Vice Chair Sanchez, thanks for the motion. May I get a second?
I'll second that.
I got a second on the floor from Commissioner Rice. Any further discussion? Hearing seen none, may I call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye, raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you, Commissioner Zelia. Motion passes unanimously, for intent to award IP GHURA -25-001 CDBG-DR BP. Thank you, Commissioners. Moving on to item number 3, resolution number FY 2025-027, resolution approving the resolution approving the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Funds Waste and Abuse Policy. Madam Executive Director, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. Resolution number FY 2025-027, resolution approving the fraud, waste, and abuse policy for the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery. Whereas pursuant to 12 GCA Section 5104, the Board of Commissioners of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, GHURA, is given the right and responsibility to govern and control the operations of the authority and to establish policies for its day-to-day operations and generally to undertake its responsibilities as supreme authority for the agency. And whereas 12 GCA Section 5105B requires that GHURA comply with any federal rules, requirements, regulations, or procedures and may execute declarations or other agreements or documents of every nature as may be necessary or required by the federal government and to fully comply with any conditions imposed by the federal government upon participation by GHURA in such programs. And whereas on January 21, 2025, Guam was allocated the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, CDBG-DR, in the amount of $500,825,000 to aid in the long-term recovery from Typhoon Mawar in May 2023 and the mitigation of future disasters to be administered by GHURA. And whereas pursuant to Roman numeral 2.A.1a of the Universal Notice 90 FR 4759, GHURA is required to have adequate policies and procedures to detect and prevent fraud, waste, and abuse. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board approves the program-specific fraud, waste, and abuse policy appended herewith and shall be effective immediately, and be it further resolved that the Executive Director may approve amendments to this policy on behalf of the Board of Commissioners as may be necessary or required, and shall report amendments to the Board of Commissioners when exercising this authority. And be it further resolved that the Deputy Director, designated as the Grant Manager, shall promulgate and have published subsequent procedures derived from this policy. And you did have in your packets what follows to explain the fraud, waste, and abuse policy. And if you have any questions, we do have the Deputy Director present to answer them.
Yeah.
Thank you. And if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, absolutely.
And so,
Dean, I'm sorry, before we move on, Mr. Chairman, I would just like to point out that in the caption of the resolution itself, in the first parentheses, it should be fraud, waste, not fraud waste.
Yeah.
So just to let the commissioners know yourself. Thank you. Sorry, Didi.
thank you. Good catch.
Thank you.
We don't want fraud waste.
We don't want fraud waste.
Yeah.
Thank you,
You're
Alicia.
welcome.
This is a series of policies regarding our fiscal and financial controls as a part of phase 2 of the grant. So we're kind of overlapping. The action plan is still under final review by HUD. But we're already preparing for phase 2, so first week of September, we'll be submitting these policies to HUD for review. We are asking, though, that the board provide flexibility for the executive director to amend from the base policy that the board approves today, so that we're very reactive should HUD have a minor tweak or recommendation or amendment to the policy, that we're able to make it right then and there and resubmit for,
You just want to
For
maintain
approval.
validity.
correct.
Gotcha.
But any changes, if you'll notice on, what would be on page 3, is pretty standard that, other grantees will have to track all the amendments and the history. So whenever an amendment is made, this will get updated, and then the amended version will be reported to the board, not necessarily for approval. If you approve the resolution, delegate that to the executive director, but we'll inform you of the changes.
And just again, this still has to be submitted to HUD for final approval.
Correct. Yeah, so they have to review all of our fiscal financial policies regarding the grant and approve them before we can move forward to phase 3, which would be ultimately be program implementation. So that's what we're working toward.
And if I read this right, just for clarification, the contact information, that's where people can report. And there are options such as email, a hotline, both locally and federally, that they can call.
Correct, and that'll be published on the website as well.
Okay.
It'll be in all program documentation on how to report.
Okay.
But this is kind of the base policy that we'll rely on to be a feeder to the other program policies and procedures.
Okay.
Talks about discusses roles and responsibility as well.
Yeah, I was very impressed by it.
Well, that's really the program staff.
Yeah.
Kind of
Put
work the
together.
draft, and, we worked with legal to do the reviews, make the amendments, and so I think it was definitely a team
Team
effort.
effort.
But it is a policy, right? We didn't want to rush it, because we'll be held to the policy, right?
Sure.
So we want to make sure it's something that's actually we can operationalize, ultimately. And so, we wish could have gotten to the board sooner, but thank you for your patience. There was a lot of policy writing in the last few weeks.
Thank you for the team and legal for make sure that our structure is up to standards.
Oh, you're welcome, sir. I would be remiss though, Mr. Chairman, going back to the title, and I do apologize, my eyesight is getting worse as I get older. But there should be an Oxford comma after waste as well. And it follows with the policy. That's there. On the top, it should be fraud, comma, waste, comma.
Okay.
Just want to ask you that, is there any like guidance on how to, templates and how to put this together?
There were some templates, what HUD recommends is look what other grantees have done. So, we scoured multiple grantees, previous awardees from other jurisdictions, analyzed their policies, kind of worked out pros and cons. But there's also what's in the universal notice of what they're actually looking for, right? So what are the base elements of the policy? And then lastly, we wanted to make sure when we reviewed it, it was something, again, we could put into operation that was feasible, right? And so it was, we wanted to make sure we were doing our due diligence.
Looks good.
Very impressive at the time that you're game.
It's just one.
And how collectively, how's everybody doing?
You're doing good.
Yeah.
We're really focused on developing the policies for the actual program, right, for launch.
And September, right, would be your
Outreach,
outreach.
beginning of outreach, yeah.
Yeah, kudos to the team. I enjoyed reading all of this last night. It was very thorough, and we also appreciate, directionalizing where one could go if they need to report anything in general. Yeah. Thanks to you.
I'll let the team know for sure.
Yes.
Okay. So with that, commissioners, making a motion on the floor.
Chairman, I'll make a motion. Sorry, would you? Okay. All right. This is resolution number FY 2025-27, resolution approving Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Fraud, waste, and abuse policy.
Subject to the,
Subject, excuse me, to the grammatical corrections.
thank you, Vice Chair, for the motion. I may have a second on the floor. Thank you, Commissioner Torres, for the second. Any further discussion on this matter? Nope, hearing and seeing none, may call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye, raise your right hand, so I can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously. For resolution number FY 2025-027. Moving on to item number 4, resolution number FY 2025-028, resolution approving the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Website Policy. Okay, Madam Executive Director, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. Resolution number FY 2025-028, resolution approving the website maintenance and management policy for the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery. Whereas pursuant to 12 GCA Section 5104, the Board of Commissioners of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, GHURA, is given the right and responsibility to govern and control the operations of the authority and to establish policies for its day-to-day operations, and generally to undertake its responsibilities as supreme authority for the agency. And whereas 12 GCA Section 5105B requires that GHURA comply with any federal rules, requirements, regulations, or procedures, and may execute declarations or other agreements or documents of every nature as may be necessary or required by the federal government, and to fully comply with any conditions imposed by the federal government upon participation by GHURA in such programs. And whereas on January 21, 2025, Guam was allocated the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, CDBG-DR, in the amount of $500,825,000 to aid in the long-term recovery from Typhoon Mawar in May 2023, and the mitigation of future disasters to be administered by GHURA. And whereas pursuant to Roman numeral 2.A.1.c of the Universal Notice 90 FR 4759, GHURA is required to have adequate policies and procedures to maintain a comprehensive and accessible disaster recovery website. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board approves the program-specific website maintenance and management policy appended herewith and shall be effective immediately. And be it further resolved that the executive director may approve amendments to this policy on behalf of the Board of Commissioners as may be necessary or required, and shall report amendments to the Board of Commissioners when exercising this authority. And be it further resolved that the deputy director designated as the grant manager shall promulgate and have published subsequent procedures derived from this policy. And again, any questions? We do have the deputy director present.
Dee, I know that this mentions following all of the requirements that the feds have on this.
Yep.
And this is just the website, but is there anything here about cybersecurity or anything that's needed in that?
No,
No?
nothing required in terms of cybersecurity. But the website itself, I'm not gonna have any access, so there's no portal access to it.
Okay.
Anything that will have it, anything sensitive will be a separate software.
Okay.
Maintained on the server. And I believe this website's hosted, so I don't really think it touches our servers.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, as you're reading, I will tell you that, our host is indicating that, Commissioner Delia can't really hear what's going on here in the conference room, so if we can try to see if we can adjust anything for her,
Okay,
okay?
sure,
While you're reading.
okay.
Commissioner Delia, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I can't hear the rest of the team.
Okay, let me see if I can pull this a little closer and see if I can turn it up the mic, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can someone give a test?
Test.
I
How
heard
about
that.
that? I think we just need to talk a little louder,
Okay.
but I'll try to adjust the mic.
How about now? Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So we'll just speak louder.
Louder into the mic.
Okay. I don't know if it matters, but there's just formatting things on this document, but
Yeah, well, we will go back. We understand there's still some formatting
Yeah.
corrections.
Yeah.
We just wanted to make sure we
yeah.
can
The
hit the
integrity,
board
get it out.
timeline.
the integrity of the content is there, it's just the formatting.
Structure. format.
Yeah. Okay. With that, I mean, commissioners, if there's no other questions or comments, may I get a motion on the floor?
Make a motion to approve the resolution. Approving the website maintenance and management policy. Resolute, for the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery. Resolution number FY 2025-028.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Torres, for the motion. May I get a second?
Second.
Vice Chair, thank you for the second. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, may I call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously for resolution number FY 2025-028. Moving on to item number 5. Resolution number FY 2025-029. Resolution approving the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Duplication of Benefits Policy. Madam Executive Director, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. Resolution number FY 2025-029, resolution approving the duplication of benefits policy for the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery. Whereas pursuant to 12 GCA Section 5104, the Board of Commissioners of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, GHURA, is given the right and responsibility to govern and control the operations of the authority and to establish policies for its day-to-day operations, and generally to undertake its responsibilities as supreme authority for the agency. And whereas 12 GCA Section 5105B requires that GHURA comply with any federal rules, requirements, regulations, or procedures, and may execute declarations or other agreements or documents of every nature as may be necessary or required by the federal government, and to fully comply with any conditions imposed by the federal government upon participation by GHURA in such programs. And whereas on January 21, 2025, Guam was allocated the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery CDBG-DR in the amount of $500,825,000 to aid in the long-term recovery from Typhoon Mawar in May 2023 and the mitigation of future disasters to be administered by GHURA. And whereas pursuant to Roman numeral 2.A.1.E of the Universal Notice 90 FR 4759, GHURA is required to have adequate policies and procedures to prevent the duplication of benefits. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board approves the program-specific duplication of benefits policy appended herewith and shall be effective immediately. And be it further resolved that the executive director may approve amendments to this policy on behalf of the Board of Commissioners as may be necessary or required, and shall report amendments to the Board of Commissioners when exercising this authority. And be it further resolved that the deputy director designated as the grant manager shall promulgate and have published subsequent procedures derived from this policy. And then you do have the attachment, the policy itself, and of course, our deputy director / grant manager present for any questions.
Sorry, no, it's a bit dry. All the,
Do we have much issue with this in our past? No.
no, but this is a pretty hard requirement, especially when you're talking disaster recovery. You have, you know, insurance, you have SBA, people got SBA loans, FEMA.
Yeah.
So it becomes definitely much more,
And there's a
necessary.
There's a worksheet.
correct. Each program type will have a worksheet to calculate and look out for, and we're just adopting HUD, correct?
Okay.
I hope I'm speaking loud enough, Commissioner Delia.
Yeah, I can hear you, but
Okay.
Commissioner Torres and Sanchez is very faint.
So if you could try to speak up, Jeff.
Commissioner, how is this? Is that okay?
Yeah, so when you project, I can hear you, but like if it's a conversation you guys are having, I can't hear you.
Okay, got it. So, to reiterate what we were talking about earlier, this is, Didi, we were just talking about.
Yeah.
If you can just paraphrase.
The duplication of benefits, it's not, it's something actually you always, it goes across all grants. You're always supposed to be on the lookout for duplication of benefits, but particularly with the various disaster grants that are out there,
Right.
whether it's FEMA or loans from SBA, it's very important that we're monitoring for this and these don't come up.
So that our recipients are not double dipping, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ultimately gonna be a compliance issue that will either land on the subrecipient beneficiary or on a.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Didi. Appreciate that. Commissioner, was that okay? Is that good? Good, okay, thank you. Chairman, nothing on my side.
Okay.
On this.
Okay. If there's nothing further, commissioners may I get a motion on the floor.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution number FY 2025-29. This resolution is approving the duplication of benefits policy for the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, CDBG DR.
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner Rice, for the motion. May I get a second on the floor?
Second.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Torres, for the second. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, may I call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you, commissioners. Motion passes unanimously for resolution number FY 2025-029. Moving on to item number 6 on the agenda, resolution number FY 2025-030, resolution approving the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Policy ensuring timely expenditures. Madam Executive Director, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. Resolution number FY 2025-030, resolution approving the timely expenditure of grant funds policy for the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery. Whereas pursuant to 12 GCA Section 5104, the Board of Commissioners of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, GHURA, is given the right and responsibility to govern and control the operations of the authority and to establish policies for its day-to-day operations, and generally to undertake its responsibilities as supreme authority for the agency. And whereas 12 GCA Section 5105B requires that GHURA comply with any federal rules, requirements, regulations, or procedures, and may execute declarations or other agreements or documents of every nature as may be necessary or required by the federal government, and to fully comply with any conditions imposed by the federal government upon participation by GHURA in such programs. And whereas on January 21, 2025, Guam was allocated Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, CDBG-DR, in the amount of $500,825,000 to aid in the long-term recovery from Typhoon Mawar in May 2023, and the mitigation of future disasters to be administered by GHURA. And whereas pursuant to Roman numeral 2.A.1.f of the Universal Notice 90 FR 4759, GHURA is required to have adequate policies and procedures to determine timely expenditures. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board approves the program-specific timely expenditures of grant funds policy appended herewith and shall be effective immediately, and be it further resolved that the executive director may approve amendments to this policy on behalf of the Board of Commissioners as may be necessary or required, and shall report amendments to the Board of Commissioners when exercising this authority, and be it further resolved that the deputy director designated as the grant manager shall promulgate and have published subsequent procedures derived from this policy. And any questions? You have the deputy and grants manager present.
Thank you very much. Commissioners?
Mr. Chair, I would like to talk about some key policy details
Sure.
in this one in particular.
Absolutely.
The first one being on section 6. So, just to refresh the board, the board passed CDBG-DR specific procurement policies. And so allowed by the federal government for this particular grant, unlike our other federal grants, is the ability to adopt the federal procurement standard, which we did. And that's to ensure, one way to ensure compliance.
Okay.
And so with that, that goes hand in hand with our requirement to meet timely expenditures as well. So that's why, you know, very specifically, there were certain things that that we did in order to meet that. That's reiterated again in section 6 of this policy, including our decision to adopt the federal procurement standard provided in the universal notice. And then the other one as well is the reprogramming of funds. And so we're going to make sure we're very transparent with awardees and subrecipients that HUD will be checking our spend down and how these projects are moving, how we're reporting they're moving. And so there will be checks on our end for the subrecipients, the contractors and things like that. But there may be a point with the project or two where we may need to make a decision to reprogram the money because the activity is not moving. And so again, that's reiterating that this is actually a specific thing. This is something they're going to be looking for. The ultimate goal is to expend the funds by the end of the performance period. And that's where we plan to be. That is actually the main measure of success for the grant, based on the universal notice, is a timely expenditure of funds. That's the main thing that they're going to be reviewing, objective measurement of our progress. So that's what we're focusing our program and operations about, is to both meet the mission of what we aim to do in terms of benefit to the community, but ultimately meeting the requirement of the grantor, which is the timely expenditure of funds.
The both back end and front end is going to be highly audited, managed, organized,
Correct.
structurally done.
Yeah, what we don't want to do is get a designation as a slow spender.
Sure.
Because even though they're not doing annual checks necessarily, they will be doing annual checks, but they're not the same way they do it with entitlement. Right. But let's say we're spending too slowly, they could, you know, send a team in and reevaluate our capacity to run the grant.
Sure.
Because their measurement of grant execution is expenditure of the funds.
We're not meeting their expectations either, but that was that scenario, under that scenario.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
They would send somebody in to see what's going on.
Correct.
Okay. And it said, it looks like you're flagging at 6 months for direct oversight and then, decision of feasibility around it, 12 months.
And then continued reevaluation after that. So if it's a flag project, it'll likely stay a flag project, you know, it doesn't catch up to the timeline.
Okay.
But again, we don't want to necessarily program funds out of an activity if, you know, we've identified it early enough and they're on track to meet the expenditure deadline, really ultimately at the end of the performance period. But we want to make sure that these projects don't get away from us, right? And we want to, if a decision needs to be made, we're making it as early as possible. Because if we reprogram the money, we still have to spend it on the other end, right? On something that will move.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Dee Dee. Commissioners, is there any other questions on this resolution? No? Okay, if not, then may I call for motion?
Make a motion.
Okay, Commissioner Torres? Floor is yours.
Make a motion to approve resolution number FY 2025-030. Resolution approving the timely expenditure of grant funds policy for the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Torres, for the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second by Commissioner Rice. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, may I call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye or raise your right hand. So I receive 1, 2, 3, 4. Commissioner Dealing 5. Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 7. Resolution number FY 2025-031. Resolution approving the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program income. Madam Executive Director, floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman. Resolution number FY 2025-031. Resolution approving the program income policy for the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery. Whereas pursuant to 12 GCA Section 5104, the Board of Commissioners of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, GHURA, is given the right and responsibility to govern and control the operations of the authority and to establish policies for its day-to-day operations and generally to undertake its responsibilities as supreme authority for the agency. And whereas 12 GCA Section 5105B requires that GHURA comply with any federal rules, requirements, regulations, or procedures and may execute declarations or other agreements or documents of every nature as may be necessary or required by the federal government, and to fully comply with any conditions imposed by the federal government upon participation by GHURA in such programs. And whereas on January 21, 2025, Guam was allocated the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, CDBG-DR, in the amount of $500,825,000 to aid in the long-term recovery from Typhoon Mawar in May 2023 and the mitigation of future disasters to be administered by GHURA. And whereas pursuant to Roman numeral 2.A.1.F. 11 of the, I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, of the Universal Notice 90FR4759, GHURA is required to properly report, track, and expend program income, ensuring substantial disbursement before making additional withdrawals. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board approves the program-specific program income policy appended herewith and shall be effective immediately, and be it further resolved that the Executive Director may approve amendments to this policy on behalf of the Board of Commissioners as may be necessary or required, and shall report amendments to the Board of Commissioners when exercising this authority, and be it further resolved that the Deputy Director designated as the grant manager shall promulgate and have published subsequent procedures derived from this policy. Legal counsel, can you help me with that last whereas on reading?
A.1.F.II. That correct?
You can read it that way, but it's also just the same way, 2.A.1.F.2.
Okay,
It's just
Oh,
it's just a lowercase Roman numeral, Ms. Liz.
Okay, thank you.
Didi, any points on this one?
So it's just cookie cutter. I mean, it's pretty boring. But there's the general rule is if you derive program income. So for example, if we have a loan, we give out a loan program for construction, the proceeds from that loan, any interest earned is considered program income. And it's subject to the same rules as the regular funds that we make. What this ensures is how do we track that? And it also ensures that we have a requirement to spend program income before we draw down additional funds. And so that way we're making sure we're utilizing the funds that we're making if it is revenue generating.
And that's where the conflict can derive from.
Yeah, and there will be. So if we do loan programs and they're paying back, that comes back as program income, which one of the exceptions on there that's written in the policy is if it's a revolving loan program.
Right.
So as one of the programs that we're identified and put in the action plan is a construction loan for to build accessory dwelling units. Right, and so you give out that loan, once it's paid back, it goes back in the revolving fund and you can loan out more. That is allowable, that's not considered program income.
Right.
Interest derived from that is considered program income and will have to be utilized.
First, what context is king?
Yeah.
Okay. Great, thank you very much. Commissioners, any other questions? If there's none, may I call for the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number FY 2025-31. This resolution is for the approval of the program income policy for the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery
Disaster recovery program income.
income.
All right. Disaster recovery program income. Thank you very much, Commissioner Rice, for the motion. May I get a second?
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Delia, for the second. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing and seeing none, may I call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously. Resolution number FY 2025-031. Moving on to item number 8, resolution number FY 2025-032. Resolution approving the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Conflict of Interest Policy. Madam Executive Director, floor is yours.
Yay, we're at the last one. Resolution number FY 2025-032. Resolution approving the conflict of interest policy for the Guam Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery. Whereas pursuant to 12 GCA Section 5104, the Board of Commissioners of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, GHURA, is given the right and responsibility to govern and control the operations of the authority and to establish policies for its day-to-day operations and generally to undertake its responsibilities as supreme authority for the agency. And whereas 12 GCA Section 5105B requires that GHURA comply with any federal rules, requirements, regulations, or procedures, and may execute declarations or other agreements or documents of every nature as may be necessary or required by the federal government, and to fully comply with any conditions imposed by the federal government upon participation by GHURA in such programs. And whereas on January 21, 2025, Guam was allocated the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, CDBG-DR, in the amount of $500,825,000 to aid in the long-term recovery from Typhoon Mawar in May 2023 and the mitigation of future disasters to be administered by GHURA. And whereas pursuant to Roman numeral 2.A.1.D.2 of the Universal Notice 90 FR 4759, GHURA is required to have a written standard of conduct and conflicts of interest policy that complies with 24 CFR 570.611 and 2 CFR 200.318. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board approves the program-specific conflict of interest policy appended herewith and shall be effective immediately. And be it further resolved that the executive director may approve amendments to this policy on behalf of the Board of Commissioners as may be necessary or required, and shall report amendments to the Board of Commissioners when exercising this authority. And be it further resolved that the deputy director designated as the grant manager shall promulgate and have published subsequent procedures derived from this policy. And you do have the attached policy.
Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chair, I'd actually like to talk about this. This is actually a very important policy. Of all of them, this is the one, potentially high risk.
Please,
Um,
yours.
So, first, I want to highlight, I wanted to make sure we understood, right? So we reviewed different policies to make sure we had clarity. We looked at the regulations, of course, to be sure. So we wanted to make sure we had something that was both, going to meet the requirement, but also the concern was, what's overly restrictive, right? And we had to develop something that was going to work for the jurisdiction. And so I want to highlight key points of the policy, what is to a degree discretionary and what was not discretionary, right? Because I'm sure we're going to get comments about this, and I want to be clear on the record what we really, it's not even up to us, right? The policy is not going to get approved by HUD if we don't have these things in there. And so we also wanted to break it down in a way that's going to be easy for people to read and interpret. And so I'd like to go to the definitions, and go over a covered individual, which, you may understand similar to Section 8, right? And I've already noted the typo on A, and we'll make that correction. So covered individual is any person who is an employee, agent, consultant, contractor, officer, or an appointed or elected official of the government of Guam, or a subrecipient who has exercised, or is reasonably expected to exercise any function or responsibility with respect to assisted activities. So with this, the HUD language is exercises or has exercised. We did include or is reasonably expected to exercise. It just goes within the same general interpretation. So we already know, based on their job title or position, they may have to exercise functions or responsibilities with GHURA or the grant. Then we're including them in that. So that wasn't added. B is in a position to participate in the decision-making process. That's HUD standard language. Or C is in a position to gain inside information with regard to such activities. Immediate family, as we know and we've seen with Section 8, it casts a very wide net. Immediate family includes, whether by blood, marriage, or adoption, the spouse. Spouse by common law is actually something we added in there because we want to make it Guam-centric, right? Even though it's not listed, it'd likely come back and they'd find the conflict with it. Immediate family includes, whether by blood, marriage, or adoption, the spouse by common law, parent including step-parent and in-law, child including stepchild and in-law, brother, sister including stepbrother, stepsister, brother-in-law, stepsister-in-law, grandparent, and grandchild of a covered individual. And so, similar with Section 8, it's a covered individual and their family members, their immediate family members as defined. So it's not an exhaustive list, but we want to be very upfront about who the covered individuals are that we know of at this time based on the HUD definition, which would be the governor, lieutenant governor, delegate to the House of Representatives, AG, members of the legislature, the Board of Commissioners, executive director, myself, all program staff, agents, and consultants working on CDB GDR and its subrecipients. And so it's a pretty wide net. So we discussed this with HUD. I think our biggest concern was, well, we're connected in many ways. Is there just the general prohibition that they're not going to be able to access these programs merely because they're related to us, right? And so there was a reinsurance by them that they, you know, they grant the exception, provided the conflict is disclosed. And we submit what we need to submit, they'll approve it, right? So it's, there is the general prohibition though, right off the bat, right? That, you know, we don't have the authority to waive the conflict. We merely take the request, review it for the core elements, process it, package it to submit to HUD, and it also has to be attached with the legal opinion, making sure that the conflict doesn't violate local law. And so those are the core elements to submit to HUD. That being said, within the procedures and processes that we're gonna work, we wanna make sure we can identify it as quickly as possible. One, to prevent any malfeasance, of course. Two, to make sure we can set them on a path to request the exception before anything happens, right? And make sure they have an opportunity to avail of the programs if they're otherwise eligible. And so if you look at the exception criteria, and these are the things that I'll evaluate that they'll have to submit based on, and we'll have to check is whether the exception would result in a substantial cost savings or provide critical expertise that is not otherwise available. Don't anticipate that to really be necessary. That's more likely with probably with a consultant or regarding a procurement activity. Whether the affected party was selected through fair, open, competitive process, such as public bidding or solicitation. So perhaps there's a conflict with, you know, an employee somewhere in the program, or, you know, say a member of the legislature, as a covered individual, but, you know, it went through a competitive process. The individual requesting the exception is a member of the intended beneficiary group, so like low mod, for example, or persons with disability, whatever that program is designed for, they would otherwise be eligible. Whether the covered individual has recused themselves from all duties and decision-making responsibilities related. So that's why we have to identify the conflict early on and shield anyone, right, from the potential, because even let's say everything else is above board and they just happen to be related to the person, if we don't catch it early enough and there's otherwise a perceived conflict, then they might not be able to approve the exception. Whether the financial interest had already existed before the conflict ever happened. Whether denying the exception would cause significant hardship to the recipient or individual, or whether the hardship outweighs the public interest of avoiding the conflict. Those usually involve, at least with Section 8, issues of you know, persons with disabilities where you have to make special accommodations. So there are criteria. We will be putting together guides. We are going to be putting out publications and notices, letting people know they're covered individuals, right? And what the process is for them or their family to avail of programs they would otherwise be eligible for. And so that this is still a lot of work to be done with this, but the policy is going to be the basis on which we're gonna set that foundation up. But it's tricky with Guam, and of course,
Right.
You know, we had to have those discussions with HUD, because again, we can be overly restrictive and make sure we don't want any issue at all, but then, you know, that's at the expense of people who would otherwise be eligible not being able to avail of a critical program, right? That they have.
They may be under the impression that they don't qualify, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we just want to be able to kind of walk people through the process and let them know there is a process,
Right.
but we have to get these disclosures out quickly. And as you know, every single employee of GHURA fills out a conflict of interest disclosure, right? And for program staff, they'll be updating that annually as well.
Yeah, Guam is a very unique dynamic in itself. So, yeah, these are very important that we take each one of these bullet points and, have that in an applicable, practical context at all times, so, I really appreciate that.
And I think the message to people is that if you are unsure, it's better to come and seek counsel with your folks and go through the process. Right?
Yes.
And don't assume, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And then for the record also, that GHURA does not have the ability or authority to grant exceptions independently, and we will do this hand in hand with HUD, so. we're
Correct.
This is not a GHURA, that's denying, it's really us being the stewards of the process. And
Correct.
managing through it with our HUD partners, and they have the ultimate say in what is approved or what is not.
Correct, and we'll be really pushing that point there, right? So, again, it's not a no, it's just a let's get you in, let's get this sorted out, let's get the request in and HUD's, provided all the documents are in order, will likely approve.
And we've had special dispensation in the past for complicated.
Yeah.
That's the matter of just, revisiting this for future tense reasons and, like Chairman said, to this point, making sure the message is that this is about inclusion, not exclusion, so it's best to just pass because HUD ultimately has the final say.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know there are probably gonna be deadlines to some of the applications of projects, so just for the record, what's a good amount of time people should be thinking about, right? I mean, obviously, we don't want folks to line up last minute and have these exemptions come in. What do we tell people by way of anticipate, right? If you're gonna go through this process, should you be aware that maybe you should give us maybe a 3-week time period to turn around some sort of, is there any guidance?
It'd
on that?
probably be more that pending a resolution or decision by HUD that their place will be held.
Okay,
So apply like anybody else, but just close right away.
okay,
And then we'll hold their place, wherever they're at in the selection process or otherwise. So if they're otherwise eligible, it'll be a tentative approval,
okay,
if you what have you.
Yeah.
Right, that way we don't accidentally if HUD's delayed on the waivers, right,
Yeah.
and approvals, that, we don't come back and say, sorry, there's no money left, right, you missed your
Right.
opportunity. And so we looked at other jurisdictions, we had the discussions with HUD, so we're leaning towards stating their place wherever they are in that application process.
good.
Yeah.
At least I
was
think
gonna
that's
say,
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's gonna be part of the actual application process.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like, hey, this is the package, here's all the disclosures, here's the queue, everything that you're entitled to know of in terms of the
Yeah.
application.
So we'll have to put up our employee roster, which is already public information, right, on the staffing pattern, so they can see, hey, when you work, are you related to any of these people, even if it's strange.
There,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
like, Alicia is my brother, so.
I am a Sanchez.
It's in the air,
Yeah.
okay,
thank you.
well,
Dee.
thank you for that, right? Very encouraging, right? And I think the end result of this is that we really want to do as much good as we can. Okay, with that, commissioners, if there's no other questions or discussion, may I get a motion on the floor?
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number FY 2025-032. This is the resolution approving the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Conflict of Interest Policy.
Okay, thank you very much, Vice Chair. I have a motion on the floor. Make it a second.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Rice, thank you for the second. Any further discussion? Right, hearing and seeing none, may I call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously for the final resolution, resolution number FY 2025-032. Moving on in the agenda, item number 5, Executive Director's Report. Madam Executive Director.
Yes, Chairman, I just want to quickly say that we will schedule for our FY 2024 audit that has been completed. And we will schedule for having the auditor come to a future board meeting to go over it if you wish. And you will also have copies of it. We've requested them. And then I just quickly wanted to say, please make sure that you come down to the Labor Day picnic. We will have a booth. We'll send you the map of where we will be. It's this Sunday, August 31st. And I will leave it at that since we still have some other agenda items, and I'll give you project updates at the next meeting. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much. If that's it, then moving on to item number 6, general discussion and announcements. I see we have our favorite Ms. Kim in the room. HR.
Oh, half a day. Oh, I like
the
that,
time.
Mr. Chairman.
Your
Thank
timing is
you.
impeccable. You just-
There's participating. Of course, we like being in face to face. Well, thank you again. Before I start, I have my team, Dr. John, Mr. Chairman, Talia and Carlo. They are the future of GHURA's HR division. So let me update real quick. We're about 83% completed. Roughly 5 out of the 6 commissioners have completed their evaluations. So I really do anticipate closing this, coming back to the board on the next board meeting of September 9 to complete our report and findings to the board on the performance evaluations as required by Title 5, Chapter 43 of the BoC Code for evaluations of agency heads.
Okay.
So I'll work on the last,
Okay.
getting in the last eval in so we can close this matter. Okay,
Okay,
so thank you very much and
Appreciate it.
okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. King.
Thank you, Mr. Thanks for your.
Yeah, welcome, Greg. You know, you're more than welcome to sit here, you know, the whole time.
Come to the table.
Our meeting, we're just like, about it.
Yeah, get to the table.
Okay,
Just kidding.
okay, and any other announcements?
Judy, anything you want to?
Full steam ahead. No, we completed the in-person training with some of the HUD technical consultants.
Nice.
Really focused again on program development, right? Cross-cutting, a lot of technical jargon, but primarily for the program staff. So they're moving full steam ahead.
Good.
We anticipate being able to work being done on the satellite office location, and we should be in there. We're thinking next week.
Nice.
We'll be good to go.
How close are you to filling your workforce 100%? What percentage are you?
80%, Ms. Kim?
We just have, we're down to the last 2 positions, the
Really?
community program aid 2 and 1. And that's not ready to be on board until November, December, as we open up January,
Not too bad.
right? To do the
Yeah.
field work and do all the,
There are a couple
Data
of specialty
collection.
positions too, we'll fill as the need, so we're not filling them all right away, right? Like, for example, we still have 2 accounted to positions that, you know, we don't have a lot of money moving right now, so we didn't.
that can wait.
Yeah,
Okay,
that can wait.
Okay.
So we have some positions, but we've, HR's done a great job getting the people, so we met the intent, which
Yeah.
was backwards planning. The intent was to get the program people on board
Yes,
before the trainers come out, so we can have them present for the
Ready.
in-person training.
Nice.
Have them have some initial training and then be here for the in-person training, and that worked out, so,
Nice.
Wow.
Good job.
That's good.
the thank you goes to the staff for really putting in the hard work,
Oh, yeah.
Carlo and Talia, so.
You want to come over here so that the
You want
video-
Oh, so they
video-
can see you.
video can capture. So when she's saying that you deserve, come over so that the
Just
video
real
can
quick.
catch you.
So all of YouTube wanting to see.
Yeah.
the media needs to capture their bad news pictures,
Yeah.
their stock footage.
So when Ms. Kim is saying that the thanks are to you, right, then look and wave it to YouTube and.
Yeah. Right, Miss Liz?
It's like.
Miss Liz can vouch for that.
They have
Director-
really been an excellent addition to the HR section, because you know, Miss Kim was doing it all by herself. She was the Lone Ranger for too long. So finally, she has really good help. They've picked up pretty quickly and have really helped her to move things along, especially with the hiring of the CDBG-DR staff. They've been so helpful with doing that. So thanks to Carlo and to Talia for assisting Miss Kim.
Can we do a board resolution that prevents them from applying to any other position?
I second that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Right, and now it's you can see it on the board minutes reflected in future. So if you ever need a recommendation, you just have. them
Refer
on
to.
February archive.
Right on.
All right, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good job.
Sorry, not sorry to put you on the spot. All right.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Yeah,
for that.
appreciate it.
Alright.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. Next proposed scheduled board meeting is Tuesday, September 9, 2025 at 12 p.m. Please mark your calendars.
Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, if I may, may we request that we don't have, the meeting on September 9th, but schedule it for September 16th instead, please?
September 16th, okay?
It's the following Tuesday.
Okay, so there's a correction on that. The next proposed scheduled board meeting is Tuesday, September 16th at 12 p.m. Again, please mark your calendars and we will confirm.
The 6th.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
You can do it online.
We'll find you.
It's obligatory.
We'll find you.
It's obligatory.
We'll work. Okay, if there's no further announcements or discussions,
1 second. Commissioner Delia? Is there anything you wanted to add before we conclude?
Good, thank you.
Okay, perfect.
thank you very much. If there's nothing further, may I call for a motion to adjourn?
Oh, good.
Oh, motion to adjourn.
All right, Commissioner Rice's motion to adjourn, may I get a second?
Still second.
All right, okay, Commissioner Torres seconds it, and Commissioner Delia is smiling, so we're good. We adjourn this meeting at 1:33 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you.
You. Oh, wait,
Right.
can we speak freely now? No.
Hold on one second.